Right, so I'm not sure who of you was aware, but a few weeks ago there was a report that there was 12 far-right hooligans, far-right terrorists who were plotting a terrorist attack against some Muslim organisation, 15,000 strong Islamic festival. This Islamic festival is banned in the majority of Middle Eastern countries, by the way, um, as it's an extreme group. But as always, they are more than welcome in Britain, it seems. So I'm just going to read through this because at the time a lot of people were saying that doesn't make sense. There were reports that these people, these 12 people, or some of the people that were involved, were just auditors, people who just record things. So anyway, let's have a read of it. So the title is The Far Right Plot That Never Was. 12 were arrested after threat against 15,000 strong Islamic festival. Days later, all terror charges were dropped. Now Sue Reed explores what happened and link to Anne Widdecombe's murder. So, a man in black, his face masked, launches a drone from a field in the beautiful Suffolk countryside. Next to him, a second mysterious and camouflaged figure waves a large St George's flag, whilst others in their group creep through undergrowth to observe the behaviour of almost 15,000 Muslims attending a vast event on a handsome rural estate. The drone's video and still images, captured by a fledgling right-wing outfit called itself British Security Project, were posted on social media with the provocative title, "We won't stop till they do." The innocuous footage of the festival, captured by the volunteers, was uploaded to the sound of rock anthem Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. It showed men wearing traditional robes walking between long rows of tents at the British Ijtima, can't pronounce that, Arabic for gathering, held 2 weekends ago at the magnificent Shrubland Hall. British Security Project volunteers had chosen to monitor the event organised by the ultra-Orthodox Islamic sect Tablighi Jamaat. Can't pronounce that either, but it's a movement that's banned in multiple countries, whose European headquarters is a towering mega mosque in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire. Within 24 hours of the drone being flown, counter-terrorism police or counter-terrorism officers had swooped on British Security Project over an alleged right-wing terror threat. No fewer than 12 arrests dramatically followed over the July the 12th and July the 13th, as addresses were raided across the country from Surrey to Manchester, as a well-briefed BBC was quick to report. It breathlessly revealed that 8 men had been detained under the Terrorism Act 2000, with three others on suspicion of conspiracy to murder, while a woman was questioned over assisting an offender. It sounded very serious, all the more so when the Ijtima was closed down early on Sunday, the 12th of July, to safeguard those attending. Rifle-toting anti-terror officers were positioned around nearby roads to ensure that the security of the faithful making their way home. After the weekend, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood stood in the House of Commons to praise in the strongest terms the rapid and heavy police response, saying officers had undoubtedly saved lives. In a statement online, she added categorically that Ijtima had ended early after a credible extreme right-wing terrorism-related threat to the lives of those present. Mahmood went on to say, "I thank Suffolk Police, counter-terrorism policing and organisers for their swift and effective response that undoubtedly saved lives. I know this is deeply concerning news for British Muslims. We must stand against hatred." The outgoing Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, rushed to echo her words by saying, "Thanks to the quick action by the police, no one was hurt. I will not tolerate any attacks on our Muslim communities or any form of anti-Muslim hatred." Andy Burnham, the new PM, moments from being appointed PM, himself joined in by saying, "This is appalling. Hatred against Muslims has no place in our country. I am determined to stamp this out." All the awesome force of the British state has been used. The 12 arrested, 3 of whom it later emerged were not linked to British Security Project at all, were thrown into cells where some remained for a full 6 days, far longer than most suspects are held. Others alleged their arrests were exceptionally heavy-handed, and their frightened children watched as armed terror police burst in through their front doors. Yet within days, all terrorism claims were dropped, and we have made extensive inquiries, but at this time have found no evidence linked to the alleged threat, was how Commander Helen Flanagan, who is head of counter-terrorism policing for London, put it in a terse statement on July the 18th. It must be stated clearly that this week one of the group, Darren Brown, was given a 6-month suspended sentence at Reading Magistrates Court after pleading guilty to weapons offences. Brown had been stopped driving his white Ford Transit van in Basildon, Essex, and was found to have a stun gun and extendable baton inside his vehicle, plus second baton at home. Clearly, it is right that he was punished for this offence, but the fact remains that all terror charges against British security projects have been dropped, and the police response looks to have been extremely severe. The Labour politicians' haste to cry terrorism distinctly knee-jerk. Needless to say, no apology has come from those police or Labour figures who rushed to allege that some kind of far-right 9/11 was only narrowly avoided. So what's happened here? Remember, this ugly episode was playing out at the very moment that British emotions were running high over the apparent haphazard investigation into the brutal slaying of 78-year-old Anne Widdecombe, a former Conservative immigration minister and latterly a spokesman for Nigel Farage's Reform Party. After her battered body was found in a pool of blood in her Devon kitchen at 11:40 on Thursday, July the 9th, first the local police force were quick to say that her murder was likely not linked to terror or politically motivated. Instead, there were implications that it might have been a robbery gone wrong. Just a quick note. Funny that, innit? They were quick to shut that down, even though it was terror related. Yet this one, the 12 far-right terrorists, isn't terrorist related, but they were quick to put it out that it was. 2-tier. Then Reform politicians demanded a fresh look at Miss Widdecombe's death. Terror police were drafted in, resulting in the arrest of a man, initially for murder, and then 2 days later, further on suspicion of commission, preparation, or instigation of acts of terrorism. He has since been charged with murder, and at the same time, Mahmood made a common statement about Miss Widdecombe's allegedly struck over the head with a hammer 21 times. The Home Secretary said that the police now have a suspect in custody, a 28-year-old white British man. She added sternly, the police have cautioned against speculating in this case. This was the very same day Mahmood was rushing to claim, in her own ill-lettered phrasing, that lives were undoubtedly saved. So who's speculating? Habibi. At what seems, in fact, to have been a complete non-event at the mass Islamic gathering. She further baselessly claimed, in inflammatory language, that there was a credible extreme right-wing related threat to the lives of those present. Another complete bullshit lie. Questions are now understandably mounting about why the Labour government's most senior figures, including 2 existing or former prime ministers and the Home Secretary herself, were so quick to state that a few people monitoring an Islamic festival were about to commit some horrifying atrocity. Sorry, my lips together then. While at the same time, they were sharply ordering the public not to speculate about the circumstances surrounding Miss Widdecombe's death, or whether there might have been a political or terror motive behind her killing. Even though everybody thought, well, it's a bit strange, isn't it? This old woman living alone, very politically motivated, quite controversial to some people, yet her death's not suspicious. It's a burglary gone wrong. Yet these guys, 12 people who have been recording an Islamic festival, have been arrested on terrorist charges. You are bringing in Reform if you're lucky. If you're not, you're bringing in Restore. You've snookered yourselves. Let's continue. Where am I? No, I'll stop from here. As we await the trial of 28-year-old Joshua Kerry, the Rotherham man who was charged with murdering Miss Widdecombe, he has been denied bail and remanded in custody. The Daily Mail has looked into the individuals behind British Security Project. Its website states that it is a professional security firm in the UK devoted to enhancing public safety and increasing concerns about domestic terrorism and violence. It adds that it's also a Christian and Catholic group with goals to safeguard religious sites, claiming that some 200 arson attacks on churches and over 9,000 recorded crimes, including arson, vandalism and damage, have been reported in a 3-year period. The outfit, which claims to have some 400 members, had backed a petition in support of Henry Novak, the Southampton teenager who bled to death in police handcuffs after being falsely accused of racism by his Sikh murderer. It has also launched anti-migrant protests at Dover, where the illegal arrival of thousands of predominantly Muslim males from the Third World continues to cause local fury. Although it appears rather amateurish, British Security Project this week put out a succinct statement, never heard that word, calmly objecting to its treatment by its authorities, or by the authorities. After all terrorism charges against its members had been dropped, the group said a public accusation can travel faster than a correction, and once a group is labelled as far-right terrorists, that wording can harden into accepted truth, even when the underlying facts are disputed or incomplete. It went on to say the wrongful accusation of 9 British Security Project volunteers on serious charges such as conspiracy to commit terrorism, conspiracy to murder, and threats to kill has raised urgent questions about legal protection and accountability. The reckless remarks by politicians such as Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood have intensified these risks. The group is now apparently considering legal action. I hope they do. And what of Tablighi Jamaat? With up to 100 million followers across 180 countries, the hardline sect founded in India in 1926 is now one of the largest in the world. It instructs its adherents to replicate the life of Muhammad to the tiniest degree, even eschewing beds and toothbrushes. Right, so I recommend nobody live the life as Muhammad lived his life. Absolutely not. We are thousands of years ahead of that, and we're not degenerates. The sect is banned in Saudi Arabia, where ministers have declared it a danger to society and one of the gateways to terrorism. Similarly, or ditto, in Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, which all have reason to be concerned about a rising tide of Islamism, have all declared that the organisation is a threat to the secular life of their citizens, but not in Britain, where this controversial movement is welcome to rent out our most beautiful stately homes for its private events. I'm surprised we didn't give it in free of charge and provided security. Mohammed Sadiq Khan, orchestrator of the 7/7 bombings, London bombings that is, in 2005, which killed 52 people in train and tube explosions, had reportedly attended the giant mosque at Tablighi Jamaat's European HQ in its hometown of Dewsbury. One of the sect's leading advocates, self-styled scholar Ibrahim Rangooni, who has lived in Britain, has proclaimed that the movement's purpose is to rescue Muslims from the culture and civilization of the Jews, the Christians, and other enemies of Islam. Ishaq Patel, the first UK Amir leader, is said to have been on a pilgrimage in Mecca when he was given a long-term mission by the group's then chief to win the whole of Britain to Islam. How's that going for you, Habibi? Not going well, is it? So why the heavy-handed police raids? However unnerving it might have been for some of the event attendees to glimpse a drone hovering above them, the fact remains that they were never, thankfully, in any physical danger. In the meantime, anyone following these events would do well to wonder why the Labour government's more senior figures rushed to announce that a non-existing far-right terror plot had been foiled, while urging everyone to stay silent about the murder of right-wing politician. I'll tell you why it is, because every single time we seem to have a Islamic-related terrorist attack, whether it's been foiled or it's occurred, we get told to not look back in anger and to move forward and to forget about it, basically. And it seems like, even though, if you Google this, 75% up to around 85% of the UK terrorist watch list is made up of Islamic terrorists or Islamic terrorist threats, they still want to make out this small number, around 5 to 10% of so-called far-right extremists, are one of the biggest concerns to this country and is something that needs to be tackled immediately. No, I think one of the biggest concerns to this country is Islamic terrorism. We've seen that. We've always been taught to recognise patterns and to be aware of dangers, and now the government's actions is contradicting what we've been taught, what we've been told to look out for. It just doesn't, well, it does make sense. The government are trying to, they know what's coming. They know that it's going to be a right-wing government. At best for them, it might be a reform government come 2029. At worst case scenario for them, it will be a restore government come 2029. So they're just panicking. They're trying to paint any group that is on the right wing of politics, any conservative groups, as far right, and that they're these dangerous people who are thugs, murderers, terrorists. but it's not working. All you are doing is making a show of yourselves, you're embarrassing yourselves, and you're making it clear to people, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who doesn't really get involved in politics, that something's not right here. If it walks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, and it fucking water runs off its back, it's probably a fucking duck. But you're telling British people that it's a fucking a llama. It doesn't make sense to us. People are waking up. Ciao for now, Habibis. The truth always comes out.